It's a special Shabbat. Every Shabbat is special, but one Shabbat in the month of November, we dedicate to honor this Shabbat to organ donors and to encourage all those who do not know or have not made a decision if it is appropriate to donate an organ. So we want to encourage and learn more about organ donations. And the best way to learn about organ donations is having living testimonies of people who have been in the process or know of someone or relatives. Last year we had, for the first time, Carl Smart, who is the oldest employee at Bethel. He's been working here for 40 years, and he received 2 kidneys twice. And he's still working here, thank God. And this year I am so happy to have our congregant, Jen Odins, to be with us. Jen, a month and a half ago?
A month ago.
A month ago.
October 9th was.
October 9th, she donated her kidney to her dad. Mm-hmm. And we're so happy and proud to have you here. And first of all, let me tell you, it doesn't seem that you went through such a surgery a month ago. So tell us, how was the process, how everything started?
How it started? I guess around Hanukkah time, my dad told us that he had found out that he was in kidney failure, but that it wasn't anything he had to do anything about yet, and that he was being monitored. And then a few months later, his numbers were worse, and he told us that he was going to start looking into getting onto the transplant list because the lists are so long, and he didn't need anything yet, and he was actually feeling pretty good, but the disease was progressing. So my brother and I both said that we would look into being donors, and but the beginning, that's easy. You know, we just filled out paperwork and sent it off, and
to check if you are compatible, or that's not yet.
Not yet. It was just to make sure that we didn't have any health history that would just right away eliminate us. You know, that it wouldn't be too risky.
Okay. So before your dad. You were here last year in that conversation that we had with Carl, exactly the same setting.
Exactly,
and you were here, and how did you feel? What were your thoughts about donation back then?
Right. Well, a year ago when I heard Carl, I was so moved by what he said, but I didn't really think, I wasn't taking it personally. I didn't know that my dad was going to need a kidney transplant, and I have been for a long time on my driver's license, a donor, but that was about as far as I had thought about it. So. And
if you were not the living donor, how long might your dad had waited? How long do you think the lists are?
Yeah, well, the lists nationally and in Missouri, where he's in St. Louis, are 3 to 5 years.
Wow.
And then actually it's much worse here, in the DC area, it's more like 6 to 8 years that people can wait. So, every year people die waiting on the list, that they just, because dialysis can only help them for so long. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And you had to go to St. Louis. There's a special hospital there, or tell us about St. Louis.
Right. Well, first I had a bunch of screening tests and also tests to see if I was a match done here locally. I had a coordinator who would tell me what I needed to do and send me the orders, and I could just find, places to get them done. And then after I had passed through 2 stages of testing, I went to St. Louis, and by then my brother and I decided that I would be the one to be the primary donor, and then if for some reason I was not able to donate, then he would continue with testing.
Were you ever scared, at some point? Did you ever think twice, or, more than twice?
I didn't think twice, actually, but I did get nervous, and I, especially when they told me that I was, I guess it was the second set of tests that I passed and that I was really moving forward, I got scared and was excited, but also like it seemed more real, and so I did more research. I had been researching before, but I did even more, and I
Researching Google, yes?
some Google,
Yes,
but
yes.
I also like like reading blogs from people who have done
Interesting.
it, and like there's a living donor Facebook group that I'm in that actually was really helpful, where people who've done it long ago or who are in the process of trying to become donors.
And that helped you a lot.
Yeah, because people ask questions, I could ask questions, and
That's very
everyone
interesting.
encourages each other. And I also, when I went to St. Louis, I met with a member of the congregation I grew up in, that is my parents' congregation.
So you grew up in St. Louis.
Yeah, I grew up in St. Louis.
So it was good that you were in the same city that your dad had the surgery. And he lives there, yes? In the same...
Yeah, he lives where the
Hospital is.
Yeah. But so I met with Lindsay Balcanter, who donated to Hazan Lissick, who was the longtime Hazan of B'nai Emunah. So it was great. And I knew both of them, so it was great to talk to her about her
And the Hazan
experience.
received...
He received
a kidney?
Yeah, he was like the Hazan emeritus. He had retired and moved, but she heard about it because they had told everyone in the work, that they knew at all that he was looking for a kidney because his family wasn't a match.
So let me ask you a question. Well, I have so many questions so far, but anyway, one more or many more. Is there anything you cannot do now? I mean, after 1 month, you need to be careful with anything you cannot eat or
Right.
anything that you cannot do in your day-by-day life.
I'm not supposed to lift more than 10 pounds for about another month, just to be careful that I don't get a hernia.
Josh, you have some things to do. There you go. You go to the grocery shop now. That's great.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not taking any medication or anything, and I'm supposed to get blood work done like 3 months, 6 months, and a year after, just to make sure that everything
And then
looks
it's
good.
normal
And then-
life. You
yeah,
can do
just-
anything, or there's specific things you cannot do.
I'm not supposed to do very high risk like sports, or like I shouldn't jump out of a plane. They say,
Okay.
or I should think twice about it because
Okay.
I don't want to damage the one kidney. But otherwise, they.
Were you thinking of jumping out of a plane before
no,
that? Okay.
I would never
That's
ever
good.
do that.
That's great.
So,
Okay, that's great. So
although I can't believe I'm doing this. So I don't usually speak in front of a crowd. So
you're doing it great, and we are
Thank
so
you.
thankful for your testimony. It
thank
helps.
you.
I imagine it helps everyone to make a decision. So, as a living donor, are there other options, organs that you can donate versus a deceased donor? So, there are things that you can donate as a living donor, other than a kidney.
Oh yeah, I mean you can donate. Well, of course, blood, but
Well, let's not take that for granted.
Right.
Donating blood is very, very important and
definitely
needed.
life-saving, yeah.
It's life-saving as
Yes.
well.
So bone marrow transplants.
We have Dr. Jacobson here.
Yeah, and also I think partial liver, like they can take part of a liver from a living donor. But, the hospital I was at does that less frequently and more for pediatrics, but they do that.
Most important, how is your dad doing?
My dad is doing great. It's amazing. It feels miraculous actually. But his recovery is much harder, and he has to take medication for the rest of his life to prevent rejection. But he's doing really well. He is getting out more and walking more. And a couple days ago, I spoke to him, and he told me he went to his Minyan, that he goes once a week to Minyan. He doesn't like to go on Shabbat; it's too long, but he
What?
likes to go.
Never heard that before.
Yeah.
I want to talk to your dad about
Okay.
that. I think it's your kidneys influence to what's the...
So he went to his morning Minyan, which it was like he was happy to get back to, and he went to the library and got a haircut and went out to lunch and then was done for the day. I was like, that's a busy day, so like, but he's doing really well. We're going to go see him for Thanksgiving, and my parents. my
That's
mom.
great. I'm so happy to
Yeah.
hear. And I want to share with you a quote that Jen says, "I did it for my dad, and I hope you will consider this for someone you love. Those that do it altruistically are really amazing." And a couple of things that she learned is that the list wouldn't be that long of wait if more people were donors.
Yeah.
And tell us what the person who, I think it was a nurse or someone who did that you took off your dad off the list.
Oh, right. So the day after my surgery, the transplant coordinator who I had been working with, who's a nurse and kind of managed all my questions and making sure I got my tests, she came to visit me in the hospital, and she congratulated me and told me that, not only had I, saved my dad's life, which is kind of hard to believe, actually, but that another person as well, I was like, I don't think so. That's not really, that was hard to believe. But she explained that because my dad didn't have to go on the transplant, it was one less person on the list, and that someone else could
move up in the list.
Yeah. So, which was pretty amazing.
And someone else will have to wait less the next time.
Exactly. So, but the lists are so long, partially because there just aren't enough, kidneys. And I just saw, actually, I was doing a little research yesterday to remember some details, and that 90-something% of people think that it's important to be an organ donor after death, but only 60% or maybe less than that actually are registered.
Wow.
So that's an easy thing to do.
Well, according to Jewish law, it is the right thing to do, to give more life. Is there anything I didn't ask you would like to share with us? And besides all the information and all the great things that you've done.
Oh, thank you. Not that I can think of.
We're thankful to your family they are here today, and
Yes.
and also they helped you in the process, and I imagine they were very supportive.
Yes, my family I'm very grateful to, and I had to be away from home for 2 weeks for the surgery, which is not something I usually do. So that was, and also I'm really grateful to my Bethel friends and community, because a lot of people were helping our family, when I was away and when I first got back, with meals and calls and things like that. It was great. And watching the kids while we were away. Josh came with me for a week.
Yes,
so
we were all
right.
trying to get the latest news, and we were happy to hear that everything went well. And first of all, let me tell you, the Torah speaks about so many people, so many heroes. We know heroes, King David, Samson. You can think any. Jacob is going to battle and wrestle with the angel, as we will see in the Torah tale. But, we have heroes here, human beings, flesh and blood here present, and they are here. And Jen is one of them, and we are so happy and so proud.
Thank you.
And we are thankful to you, because you are a role model for many people.
Thank you.
And I must say that we can fulfill mitzvot, we can fulfill God's commandments as we are living. But after we are not longer living, there's only one more commandment, one more mitzvah, one more good deed that we can do, and it's to give life, to donor organs after we passed away. So even though we are no longer alive, we can still give life. So please consider it. Please change your driver license. And
there's another way to do it too.
There's another way?
So at donatelife.com, that you can register. You can be part of the registration. Just online. That's a national registration of organ donors. And I talked to the coordinator to ask if it's actually checked, and she said yes. The emergency room, doctors, and everything, they look at that list to see if someone is designated that they want to be a donor.
Very nice. So to conclude, I imagine many of you have heard, experienced, and even had a transplant. Some of you here or know of a relative, a friend who had a transplant. We want to thank Jen. If you received or donated, and you want to raise your hand here, you can. There's someone who received it.
Wow, thank you.
Twice?
Wow.
Very nice. 23 years ago. Well, we're glad you're here as well, and you see how life are impacted, and we can make a mitzvah after we are no longer here. So, Jen, in Hebrew we say Ishar Koach, and may you continue strong and inspiring and giving strength to others. Thank you very much, and
Thank you.
and we are really, really inspired by you. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
We will, like this, if you want to applaud her because she deserved it, and we are going to continue